Welcome to the Trades Podcast, a podcast about the business of home improvement and promoting the trades to young adults. In this podcast, we talk with business owners, educators, and professionals about the benefits, skills, and related experiences of the home improvement business. Tips to help you with being successful from entry into the trades or established business owners. In this podcast, we hope to influence some young adults that the trades as a career is a great option leading to full and prosperous life. I'm Danny Torres, an MC, DJ, and podcaster, inspiring young adults by shining light onto career opportunities in our world today.
And I'm Jeff Mudd, home improvement contractor, writer of the Millionaire Carpenter series, and podcaster.
Stay tuned to 15 to 20 minutes of insightful tips. Happy days, everybody. Here we are at the tradespodcast.com. I am DJ Danny.
And Jeff Mudd, home improvement contractor.
Right here back in the Ignite BBB podcast studio. And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest here today. His name is Matthew, and he is with Homes for Hope. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, welcome here to the Trades Podcast, and a really special organization that you have here today. So let us know a little bit more about Homes for Hope, and just give us a little plug about yourself as well.
Sure. Well, I've been the executive director of Homes for Hope since 2019. And a little bit about myself. I'm a husband, father of 4, Christian. I've spent more than 18 years now in the nonprofit sector. I grew up in New Jersey, and so I'm a Jersey boy through and through. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. In 2019, you've been at Homes for Hope. And let us and our audience know a little bit more about what Homes for Hope does for the community and really around the world.
Yeah, so I would say Homes for Hope is the building industry's response to global poverty. So we partner with the building industry to invest in the dreams of families who are living in underserved communities around the world, and we do so for the glory of God. So we do so mainly by providing business training, saving services, and microloans, which average around $300, and that enables an entrepreneur to start or expand businesses and break the cycle of generational poverty.
Mm-hmm.
So over the last 5 years, 98% of the loans that we give out have been repaid, and that money gets recycled and sent back out as more loans. That's always been our model ever since our founding. So our founder is a builder, and in the mid-90s, he and his church were sending containers of aid to a community in Ukraine, Zaporozhye, Ukraine, actually. So that's where we got our start 25 years ago. That's really in the news right now. And the pastor of the church that he was sending the aid to said to him, "Your helping is actually hurting us because the local businesses here can't compete with free. Is there a way that you can help us help ourselves?" And so initially, he's a businessman, and he noticed Ukraine is a beautiful country, and he noticed fields of sunflowers surrounding this town. And so he came back and purchased a sunflower processing machine, put together a business plan so they could make sunflower oil, and delivered the machine and the business plan to the community. And went back the next year to see how it was going, and the machine was sitting in the same corner where he dropped it off, gathering dust. And he realized that he had moved from exporting goods to exporting his ideas, and that wasn't going to work either. And so right around that time, around 1997, 98, is when he heard about this concept of microfinance and decided to give that a try. And so he came back and did what he knew how to do. He partnered with his trades and his suppliers to build a home. We get donated and discounted services on the build from them, which increased the profit margin from the sale of the home. And then he took that profit and he sent 12 loans of $500 each to this community, which were invested in small businesses there. And a couple months went by, and everybody was paying their loans back. And one of the entrepreneurs got on local radio and told everybody about it. And so the guy managing the loans as they were being paid back said, "Jeff, we're going to need a lot more capital."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we got started. And through about 2006, our only income stream was the building industry. And around that time, our COO said we might need to diversify this a little bit. And that decision kind of preserved us through the 08, 09 downturn. So, yeah, I could go on and on, but it's been an amazing journey ever since. Since we got founded, those same 12 loans are still cycling through and serving people today. This is really unique in the nonprofit industry, where it's not, the money doesn't just get donated, used, and then goes away. It continues to benefit people in perpetuity. And over the course of our history, we've raised around $227 million as an organization, which is an incredible number. But we've been able to disperse over $1.4 billion in loans to serve people living in poverty around the world.
That is some incredible numbers there,
Yeah, that's
Matthew.
amazing.
Let's go back to something that you said that I think some people might even find hard to grasp. The average loan is $300.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I might borrow $300 from my brother when I was in my 20s, but $300 now in U.S. dollars. How powerful is that in other parts of the world, Matthew? Can you give us an example of that? Something that we can relate to?
Yeah. I mean, if you think, let me tell you a story. So there was a woman in Rwanda who wanted to take out a loan to purchase of $20 to purchase 20 of those plastic lawn chairs, and so again, if I, as an American and Westerner, were making the determination on these loans, I probably wouldn't have given that loan. It doesn't sound like a very good business idea, but because we work with people who are indigenous to these communities, her loan officer knew that she had a good idea. What her idea was is that in that community, weddings last for weeks at a time, and people need to sit down. And so she wanted to start this wedding business. And first off, by providing chairs. So she took the loan, was able to purchase the chairs, paid the loan back, and then went through multiple loan cycles. And then fast forward through to today, that's grown to, she now has 200 chairs, 200 place settings, a bunch of centerpieces, and 3 wedding dresses, a small, medium, and large, that she rents out for these weddings. And she has this thriving wedding business, and she was able to pay for her daughters to go to school and get through secondary education and now college as well. So that's just one example. There's tons of those stories, but $300 for somebody who's living in poverty and doesn't have any access to the capital that they need to either buy supplies in bulk or open up a storefront at the front of their house. You can never really get ahead. You're going hand to mouth. You're living hand to mouth. So most of the people that we serve live with what the World Bank would call extreme poverty, which is you make under $57 a month. So if you can think about a $300 loan for somebody who's making $57 a month, that goes a long way towards starting a business.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
huge. That's huge.
Yeah. For somebody that's used to American dollars and trying to relate that to another country, though, that's a great story. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome for, you can imagine just the resources that are being provided and just the services that Homes for Hope is really providing these underprivileged and just anybody that's living in these poverty situations. It has to be a huge thing for a lot of the, say, construction industry that you work with hand in hand to really be involved in these projects. And, as a young adult, I see that, as something that we really do pride ourselves on in this generation, on really trying to be involved with those type of, the communities that do need help and really shining a light on it. So if someone was going to be, or someone that you've probably have worked with and spoken with in the industry of the construction and as young adults, what is their response to these type of projects and these type of organizations that you're a part of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing that really resonates with young adults with what we do is that, especially with trades, is that they can relate to the people that we serve. If you think back on your life, and I were to ask you the question, who invested in you over the course of your life, people come to mind, right? And usually I'll go around the country speaking to builders and their trade partners. And whenever I ask that question, nobody ever says, well, this bank invested in me, gave me a loan. It's always relational. Um, this person invested in me. They taught me what it meant to work hard. Or even if it is like this person gave me my first tool, or but there's an element of they taught me how to use it, or they believed in me. And when you think about poverty isn't just a lack of material goods. Um, it's more complicated than that. And so poverty needs to be addressed holistically. And so when trades are thinking about the people that we're serving, they can see themselves, right? They can remember back to what it was like when they were first getting started. Now somebody took a chance on them, taught them what they needed to know, and really invested in them. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, I said that we started in 25 years ago, and Ukraine, young people are very aware of what's going on in the world, and they want to have an impact on it and be a part of it. We have 47 staff in Ukraine. We serve over 500 families there, and we're getting updates constantly. And so, for the opportunity to be involved with something that's on the front page of the news, top of the news headlines, is really appealing to people. And then, I've been in the nonprofit industry for 18 years, and definitely, I think just prior to me getting into this industry, we started to see a shift in motivations for being involved with charitable giving. And there's a number of reasons for that, but where people in former generations used to give out of obligation, it's the right thing to do, so I'm gonna give. But now people give based on impact. What kind of impact is my gift going to have on the world? And I think one of the main reasons for that was initially the internet. When the internet came, publicly available in the mid '90s, your generation is growing up with unprecedented access to information, right? You can do research and learn about nonprofit organization like my own, and where's the money going? How is it being used? Is this actually, are people actually doing what they say they're going to do with this money? Or are they doing something else? And so that's led to a more impact-driven giving mindset. And then after the internet came social media, right? Our culture went through a shift from what had typically been guilt, innocence motivated culture to a more shame, honor motivated culture. And the easiest way to boil that down is when you experience guilt, it's something that has happened to you or that you've done that you're responding to, right? With shame, it's more of an identity where, this is, I am this thing that has happened to me, or I am this decision that I've made, right? And if you think about the flip side of that, so innocence is something that I'm experiencing. Honor is something that I am, like I have honor. And so when that applies to, you can see that play out in all sorts of different ways, as you see things like cancel culture, right? I don't want to be associated with this thing that would bring me shame, and so I'm going to make decisions accordingly, right?
Yeah.
Or I want to be associated with this amazing thing that's happening. I want to be a part of this cause community, right? And I want that to define me. So that's why you see things like the ice bucket challenge when that took off a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So for somebody like yourself who's young and who wants to make a difference in the world and wants to give or be involved with things that will make a huge impact and that will be done responsibly and sustainably, getting involved with a nonprofit like Homes for Hope and others is a really great opportunity. So if your employer, right, say the trade company that you're working for, or a builder that you've been hired by, is involved with something like this, that would be a motivation to stay with that company or to continue to progress in your field, so you can have even more of an impact or make even more of a difference down the road.
Yeah, I think it's even in the local area of any business owner or anybody that's really looking to expand their horizon of really getting involved with the community, whether it's on a global community of like Homes for Hope that goes spreads out and really just does help out a lot of citizens in different nations, but also anybody that's a small business owner or just working within a company. You want to be involved with other business owners or community organizations that are just helping out for certain causes that you really do believe in and certain issues that are well raised, and really spoken about. And
And that's the thing I love most about the building industry too, is that everybody in the building industry isn't you don't is involved in something charitable, right? It's baked into the culture. You don't have to convince anybody to get involved in the building industry. Everybody's doing it. And so I think that's really appealing to young people who want to make a difference. The building industry is for you, because there's tons of opportunities to do so.
Yeah, really, really good point, Matthew. Yeah, you look at, for the San Diego area, there's not a credible business out here that hasn't attached themselves to some type of charity, and it's even more appealing when you see the owner giving of their time and personal money to make it happen. And as good leaders, then the workforce behind them follows, and they get the feelings and the well-being that comes with that also. So
yeah, and I know that's something that Jeff has a lot of experience with, just getting involved in certain street fairs and a lot of the organizations out here too, right?
Yeah, so we've done street fairs a lot with my business for marketing. The public's going up and down the street, but you also, when you're doing that, you've aligned yourself with a lot of other nonprofits that are out there, promoting themselves also, and it's really helped build some great relationships, outside of the building industry. So
yeah, and you just don't know who you're going to run into, and you just don't know what type of project it might lead you to next. And that's something that I wanted to kind of touch base with you on. I know you mentioned some of the work that you're doing in Ukraine, and of course, we want to give a big, heartfelt, support for anybody that's a victim of anything that's happening over there in the Europe area. But if you can let us know about some of the projects that Homes for Hope are doing or have been doing recently, that we can kind of get to know a little bit more about.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing is that people are coming together to do something significant together, right? It goes beyond just the individualistic mindset, but we're doing something. I used to work for a humanitarian aid organization, and somebody came to volunteer at one of our events, and she said she wanted to serve, but she didn't want to serve alone. She wanted to be a part of something bigger. And that's what's happening with some of these projects that we do around the country with different builders. So I'll give you a couple examples. Is it okay if I name the names of the companies when I go through these examples?
Give them a great plug. They're out there doing a good deed and the right thing, Matthew. So yeah,
All right.
Absolutely.
So Providence Homes in Jacksonville, Florida. We did a launch event for them last year where they gathered their trades and their suppliers together, and we cast vision for what it is that we do as Homes for Hope and invited their trades and suppliers to participate in the home that they were building. And the response was incredible. The electrician donated 100% of electricity, plumbers so that's parts and labor. Same thing with the plumbers. And one thing I want to make clear here too is that one of our distinctives is that we don't require that people participate at 100% in order to be a part of the build. That just whatever makes sense for them as a company. But that was the response that these two companies had. The architects had already done the work on the home, and but they said, we'll just reimburse you for the check that you sent us. Same thing with the people who laid the foundation. The foundation was already laid, but they said the same thing. We're going to reimburse you for the foundation. Builders First Source showed up and said, we're going to donate the lumber, the trusses, the windows and the siding on this home, which in this market and everything that's going on with the supply
Yeah.
chain and
It's huge.
availability of supply is incredible. But my favorite story from that event was one of their trades is the guy who power washes the homes when they're done being built. And he charges $250 to power wash a home once it's done. And when he heard that our average loan size is around $300, he said, I'm going to donate the power washing on this home and throw in another $50 so that somebody can start a business, which was incredible. So that's one story from just last year. Grand Homes in Texas has been partnering with us since 2008. So they did their first home right at the downturn. And, if you talk to their CEO, that's a very moving story of didn't think anybody would contribute. And he shows up and there's just a line of cars ready to participate. And they've been doing homes every year since then. And it's gotten to the point now where their ribbon cutting ceremony for the completion of the home also serves as the launch and for the next home. Owners will ask him, when are we doing the next one, boss? When's the next one happening? So they just developed a culture at that company of excitement around what we're doing with Homes for Hope. Our founder with Keystone Custom Homes in Pennsylvania. So there's lots of stories I could tell here. One is that our founder has donated 89% of the non-voting stock in his company to support Homes for Hope and Hope International, our parent organization. So he still controls the company, but 89% of the company is donated to this cause, which is an incredible generosity. And then what they have started to do is they do what they call a virtual home, where each year they don't build a physical house, but the trades and suppliers that he has a relationship with will commit to donate a certain amount on an upcoming project that they have for him, one of the jobs that they are scheduled to do for him. And so that enables all of his trades. So say he has multiple spouting companies, right? Or multiple landscapers. This allows all of them to participate, right? It's not just the people that get the contract for the one house that's being built. And then it also, what he'll do is he'll match whatever they are able to produce with a donation from the company's overall profit. So it's an opportunity for the trades and suppliers to challenge him to greater generosity. So the more that they generate, the more he gives. So that's a really cool relationship there. And this is the last one. So one of our brand new partners, Polish Homes in Oregon, they're getting ready to launch their first home for us. And what they decided to do was they had their architects and designers, they split them up into 3 teams and gave them the opportunity to design a brand new home. So new elevation, new floor plan, and submit it to be voted on. And so the board is voting on which of these 3 homes they're going to do. And it's just created a lot of excitement around the project, and everybody is, they're competing with each other, but they're also rooting for each other. Yeah. And they're about to make that decision and get that project started very soon here. And they want to break with this home. They've talked about wanting to break the single donation record with their first home, which is incredible. And it's not for bragging rights or anything like that. It's so that they can serve as many people as possible around the world through this one home. So yeah, those are just a couple stories.
That's huge. And I mean, that everybody's just all hands on deck. I mean, everybody's getting involved. Everybody's really contributing to that cause. And I like the part where they're literally challenging each other to one up each other on their, contributions and how they put themselves towards these certain jobs, and, ones that really hit home for them too. Whether it's in their community or just something that, like you had mentioned earlier, that something that they just really see themselves in. We've all been in those certain situations or trials, tribulations that we've gone through. And, we may have looked for a helping hand or, something, just, a call to just really get some support. And I think it's great how everybody gets involved. I think it's great.
Yeah, and Danny and Jeff, you guys have worked hard to get to where you are, right? It's not just been handouts, right? Because handouts can create dependency. There's a book called Toxic Charity by a guy named Robert Lupton. And in there he talks about the 5 stages of toxic charity, which are when you're just giving perpetual handout. Now, handouts are important in certain seasons. Like we're in one of those seasons now with everything that's going on in Ukraine. There's a refugee crisis. You need kind of immediate aid in that type of situation. But if we're just perpetually giving out aid, and we're creating dependency. So he talks about how when you give somebody a gift, the first time there's appreciation. When you give them a second gift, there's anticipation. When's the next gift going to come? When you give them the third gift, there's expectation. When you get to the fourth gift, there's entitlement. Where's my gift? And by the time you get to the fifth gift, you've created full-blown dependency. So we're trying to, rather than just give handouts, we're trying to give people a hand up and invest in their businesses. You've heard the whole thing, give men a fish, eat for a day, teach men a fish, eat for a lifetime. Well, we don't even have to teach people how to fish, quote unquote, right? Because these people already have businesses that they know they need to invest in their fishing business, so to speak.
Yeah, early on when we were talking, Matthew, you were talking about who was invested in you in your days coming up, and yeah, definitely. I've tried to remember that as I've gotten older and wiser in business, and give the hands down and try to mentor. But definitely after talking to you today, I'm going to go back and try to really hone in on some of those specific people that in the early years have made an impact on my life. But I wanted to ask this one last question, and I think it's really important that here at the Trades Podcast, we're promoting the trades to young adults. And one of the things I really liked about you and your organization when I met you, Matthew, was your passion to tie it all together. But Homes for Hope in yourself is faith-based. And when a young adult's looking for what to do with their life, there's challenges in high school, abuse, poverty, all kinds of issues here in America. How does the faith part integrate into making choices in your life? I think you can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It bleeds all the way through, I think. But let me put it this way. So one of the things that I love about the humanitarian and development space is that everyone is for each other, right? Everybody recognizes that, poverty, humanitarian needs, development, all of that, those are problems that are too big for any one of us to solve on our own. So we need each other. And so one of the things that I've really loved is just the common ground that exists between, especially with all the division that exists in our country.
Yes.
There's so much common ground in wanting to see people thrive, right? And not just thrive in one area, but holistically. So there's different motivations involved in that. But I've worked with businesses in the private and public sector, with the government, UNHCR, USAID, other aid organizations, and just the common ground that exists in wanting to see people thrive, I think has been really encouraging. Now, when you're talking about the faith piece, there are different motivations for being involved in this space, right? And it was really interesting. The government relies on faith-based organizations, and in our case, it would be a Christian organization, to go to the really gnarly places that a lot of other organizations wouldn't go, or that the government can't go. That because there's a transcendence to what we're living for, and there's less, I think, I don't want to say fear, but there's a willingness, I think, to, if it will cause us to be uncomfortable or lose our lives, in some cases it's worth it because of what we're living for, right? And specifically, I would say that we're motivated by the belief that every person is created in the image of God and therefore has inherent dignity and worth. So it doesn't matter well, it matters in certain ways, like what people look like and their culture, all of that matters. But in terms of their dignity and worth, we're all, we're all made in God's image, and we are worthy of being treated with dignity and worthy of flourishing. So there's that aspect of it. And then we also view that the world isn't more bad than good or more good than bad, but that the world is broken and needs to be restored. Um, and it can't just be like if somebody's living in poverty, if you ask somebody what it's like to live in poverty, they don't really talk about um, a lack of money or a lack of material things. They talk about what it's like relationally, how isolating it can be, lack of opportunity, things like that. And so, as Homes for Hope, we seek to address poverty, not just materially but socially, personally, and spiritually. Does that answer your question? The question that you asked is
It's a pretty broad question, and you can go very deep
question.
with it. But I think you have a very unique perspective on that, and I think it's good for our listeners to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for the question.
And it totally touches base on exactly what someone can really expect and just really understand on getting involved with your organization specifically. And not only that, but there's going to be other organizations out there that they might feel a good connection to, and really putting yourself full 100% forward into that organization and really diving into exactly how that person can really just get connected to it, help and execute those goals between who they're helping out and why it's going to be beneficial for them, in the sense of if it's faith-based, if it's morally based, or it's ethically based. Just really helps them out to, like you said, solve an issue that's in the world today, and get something out of it where they can pass on those same emotions that they felt and hope that someone else is going to feel the same way to jump into an organization like Homes for Hope or another organization out there. So
yeah, I think for eternity matters. Life is very short in the grand scheme of things. If you look at life in light of eternity, right? And so for us, I think eternity and where people stand in light of eternity matters most, I think. And serving people in various ways, I think, reflects on this eternal perspective and wanting to see people be restored, be put into right relationship with God for eternity, because that's what matters most. So yeah, that's last word on it.
really appreciate that. No, that's great insight, and it's been super awesome to sit down with you and just get a full grasp of Homes for Hope and how you're getting involved out there in the world and within certain communities out here. And it's been great, So, I feel like we really just only touched the surface on what Homes for Hope really gets into, and just the types of projects that you guys are involved in, and and how other people can really get involved with you. But if someone were to want to get involved with you, whether they're a listener right now and they're a part of a construction company, or someone that's looking to, or within an organization that wants to get involved with Homes for Hope, or possibly a business owner that that is within the industries that you're looking for, how can they reach out to you, and what's the best way to get involved?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. You can go to our website, homes4hope.org, and all my contact information is on there as well. I would love to talk to anybody, even if what I was talking about today doesn't sound like it would be a fit for your company, but you love what it is that we're doing and who we're serving and how we're going about that. talk to me. We'll figure something out together. That's I always love being creative. I'm an ideas guy. And so let's kick around some ideas and see what kind of impact we can make together.
Absolutely. There's a lot of small businesses here in this country, here in San Diego, and I'm sure there's a lot of them that could would love to be involved with you, Matthew. So thank you for having it on. Looking forward to talking with you again and staying in touch.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, right here at thetradespodcast.com. We were recording right here in the Ignite BBB podcast studio. And Matthew Baehr, the Executive Director of Homes for Hope, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, Matthew.